today we're doing another Am I in the Wrong, as we'll call it, a husband versus wife perspective of a story that I read on Reddit, because I have a little passion for Reddit stories.
Yes, he does.
A little bit of the Reddit drama stories.
Anytime we travel, he gets on these sites, and then he's like, okay, we got to read these, and you tell me your opinion. And then he's like, oh, wait, there's an update! Update! He gets real passionate about it. He will literally read for several hours to me, and then I'm like, all right, I've had enough. But there's more. I'm like, no, I've had enough.
So, I found one today that I thought you might like, because she has many, many years of human resource experience, correct?
Yeah, about 15 years.
About 15 years. So this one kind of deals with some human resource experience, okay? So this is more of a human resources perspective of this. Was this handled correctly? Okay? Okay. So the title, she hasn't seen the title.
I don't know anything.
She's seen nothing. So, am I in the wrong for telling my boss they either fired their new employee or I'm gone?
Well, issuing threats right out of the gate is not the best.
Okay.
Okay.
You ready? I have worked at a small local business for almost 12 years. We have 8 employees currently and are short-staffed. About 3 weeks ago, they hired on some woman in her 50s who we will call Karen.
Some woman. Wow, we're starting off with a tone already. Okay.
who we will call Karen. Karen, in the beginning, was very appreciative of being hired on, as her husband is out of work following a car wreck and their home was in a process of foreclosure. She stated she had been searching for employment for months, but no one would hire her because she had 0 employment history in her 50s. She was a stay-at-home wife with no kids.
Okay.
So 30 years, never worked a day in her life. Okay. Now, in the beginning, Karen and I got along well enough, but poo-poo hit the fan last week. She stated she has 5 dogs, and I simply made the comment that I don't like dogs and could never have one as a pet. I told her I like other people's dogs well enough, but could never have my own, basically. She took it as a personal attack, apparently. She turned around in her chair and avoided me the rest of the shift. That night, my phone starts to blow up with Facebook notifications from her. I don't have her as a friend on there. She was going through and laugh reacting at every single photo of my children that were posted as public tagged photos. If that weren't bad enough, she then comments underneath of a photo of my youngest 4-month-old child, "Ew, you don't like dogs, but you like these ugly things," with 2 puke emojis. And another comment not even 30 seconds later on a photo of my 12-year-old son and 10-year-old daughter saying, "Gross." I screenshot everything and then block her. The next day, I go to my boss and hand over my phone with all the screenshots pulled up. I tell him, "You either fire her right now or I'm gone. I refuse to be in the same workplace as this mean person." Well, Karen just happened to walk into his office while I was in there, and he immediately told her to collect the items from her desk and leave. She asked why, and he pointed to the screenshots on my phone and said, "This is why." She started braiding me, of course, because I got her fired when she desperately needs the money because they will lose their home and no one else would hire her, and she can't believe I'm being so sensitive and that she just wanted me to feel how she felt when I threw it in her face that I don't like dogs. Am I in the wrong?
Well,
HR perspective. Okay, here we go.
So this is a matter between 2 individuals. And the 2 individuals, while yes, they're co-workers, it was taken outside of the work environment. And yes, it's social media and we have the right to speech. We have the right to say the things that we want to say. And even if it's something that I don't like or you don't like, you still have the right to say it. It can be mean, but it was not anything that, yes, it might have impacted the employees, the 2 employees working together, their ability to work together. But that's when you need to go in through the performance aspect of things and coach them, try to get them to work together. And if there's things that happen within the workforce, I'm not talking about like outside of it, then that's when you address those things inside the workforce. Or if she's doing something on social media that is defaming the company, or it's doing something on that, then that's the company should not have terminated the person, in my opinion. I think, and this is just coming from an HR perspective.
Background.
And again, because you're looking at it as a human resource person, you need to look at it not necessarily always from just one perspective. Was she mean? Yes, she was mean. Yes, absolutely.
Kind of disgusting saying that her kids were gross and calling her baby, ugly thing? And puke emojis? Like, that's uncalled for.
It's uncalled for.
Like, that's your coworker. You get to work alongside.
But they needed to have a conversation. All of them have a conversation, and that did not happen based upon what we know in this situation. And the employer went ahead and terminated her. That's risky on the employer's part. That's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people might differ in that, but coming from an HR side of things, where you have people who, I feel like that's all HR does, is deal with other people's issues where they're not adult enough to handle it between one another. And this is exactly that. All they needed to do was, if she was ignoring her, all she needed to do was say, I'm sorry if I offended you. I just personally don't like to have dogs in my life. And that probably would have squashed the whole thing. The lady took it way too far. Yes, she absolutely did. But it's social media. And the employer, it was not on the employer's social media.
Not during company time.
Not during company time.
Not on company phones.
I think the employer set themselves up in a really bad situation.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, my first thought whenever I read this was obviously, yes, the 50-year-old woman was wrong for what she did. That was inappropriate doing it, what she did. There was no reason to. If you're that hurt that somebody doesn't like dogs, why did she go to that extreme? So my brain went to, she's been a stay-at-home wife for 30 years, more than likely. She probably has, she lacks social skills. She lacks the ability to this is just my assumptions. A lot of people who have stay-at-home jobs, like, I've lost social skills being a stay-at-home employee now. Like, I've lost social skills that I used to have, you lose those signals of how to deal with some social settings.
Right.
So at 30 years, and she's in her 50s, possibly she's never worked a job. She's always been a stay-at-home wife. She might not have understood the boundaries of what is okay and what's not in the workplace. So in her mind, she wasn't wrong because she was jokingly back with her employee, like, you don't like dogs, I don't like kids. Because she lacks the social skills that she didn't attain by not being out in the world for the past 30 years. So, but that doesn't make it right though. But she just doesn't, she never gained those social skills as an adult.
And I understand what the employer was trying to do was to try to satisfy their long-term tenured employee. I understand that, but from an employer's perspective, they have just set themselves up for a potential lawsuit. She didn't do anything on company's time.
No.
She didn't do anything with company's devices, like you said.
Nothing wrong.
Was she mean? Yeah.
Yeah, she's mean.
Yeah, but she was mean.
Yeah. So,
From what this is obviously what we know, that it's one-sided.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have two very immature people in a situation here. And if you can't handle a situation so minor as this and run to your boss and say, you need to fire this person right now. Look at what they did. If I were that manager or if I was that person's employer, I would pull them aside both individually.
and hear
about it.
Both sides of the story.
Yes.
Of why did you do this and what made you do this? What did, because he or she only heard that side of the story.
Exactly.
What did she really say about your dog? Because it might have gone really more in depth than what she said. She might have been like, oh, your dog's probably stinky and smelly and gross. Like, she might have embarrassed her at the workplace where she was rightfully very upset, where what she said might have got her in deep trouble.
Yeah.
Because it happened in the work, but we don't know that side of the story.
Exactly.
She never had a chance to tell her side of the story.
And that's where I think the employer went wrong.
Yeah.
And you really need to, at least from my perspective, you need to have a conversation with both of them individually. And based upon that those conversations, that's where you determine, okay, what is my next step? Do I bring them together to talk about it? Do I coach them individually? Do I have them work in separate environments until we can work through this piece of whatever's going on? There's so many different ways that you can take it to protect both the employees and the company. And this employer really set themselves up for failure.
I mean, these are grown adults. It's too easy.
But
you separate them, you talk, each side talks, and then you bring all three together and say, work it out.
But that's the thing is...
Work it out. This is not a big deal. Just work it out.
With many, many years of HR experience, and I did quite a few years of employee relations, and that's all I did was employee relations. And let me tell you, that's very draining and taxing on someone.
You deal with this stuff all the time.
You deal with this kind of stuff.
This stuff.
And it's unbelievable how many situations can be resolved by just having a conversation. Not only in the workplace, but in your own personal, relationships with your family, your friends, your kids, your whatever. Talk about it. Because communication is the one thing that can either completely damage something or can completely repair something.
Do you want me to tell like a quick story?
Yes.
A proof? At an old job that I used to work, I will tell the employee's name. His name was Mark. That's all I'm going to say. We had a boss that did not like either of us. And this boss was feeding each of us stories. This boss was telling me that Mark was saying this about me. And this boss was telling Mark that I was saying this about him. This boss for some reason, trying to create drama within the workforce. And this boss was causing this drama. And me and Mark, we hated each other. We didn't get along at all. And
because you're being fed.
Yes, we're being fed. There was one night we're both at work, the same shift, and I actually said, Mark, we need to have a talk. I actually said, we need to talk about this.
You're all
well, yeah, like, because it got
You're
the point.
My straw jiggle.
It got the point where it was just, we're two grown men. This is ridiculous. This is like 15 years ago, wherever it was. This is ridiculous. And so we started talking, and I said, why did you say this about me? And he said, I didn't say that. Why'd you say this? He said, I didn't say that. And then he asked me, I didn't say that. And it was just like that back and forth. It's like, we realized everything that we were being fed was complete lies, because we had a conversation and we worked out amongst ourselves that we didn't have a problem with each other.
Yeah.
The boss was trying to get us into a spat because the boss wanted us both gone. And we figured out what the boss was trying to do. We worked it out. We became friends at that point, and we became allies. And we became stronger that way. And the boss wasn't happy about that because we saw right through what was happening. One simple conversation where we just took off our hatred, said, let's talk. Everything got fixed like that.
You know what?
A conversation fixed everything.
You know what the interesting thing is though, and I know people say this, but I swear by it because I've seen it in so many coaching sessions that I have been in. Men are so much more willing to let down that wall and have the conversation and get through it. Women will have the conversation, but they still hold that grudge. It's still there. It's like this,
It's always there.
And I've seen it over and over and over again, and I'm not sure what the difference is between the genetic makeups of between women and men and why I see it so much more in women. And I'm not necessarily calling all women out like that, because there's a lot of women, yes, that can let things go, and there's a lot of guys that can't let things go.
There's some guys that can't let it go.
I'm not saying that. So don't come at me, internet.
Canceled.
I'm not saying that it's all one or the other. I'm just saying that a lot of times,
from personal experience,
my personal
working
experience,
in HR, you've seen it firsthand.
But
you've seen it.
I do honestly, truly feel that even if you're having a conversation with somebody and you're in the middle of that conversation and you're like, what? Stop them. Say, did you mean that like that? Don't let it fester on you. Like, have the conversation. It can be hard sometimes, but practice it. Like, that's the one thing that I always did too when I was getting ready to go into a really difficult meeting, or I had to do a termination session and I knew it was going to be a hard termination. I would stand in my bathroom mirror and I would talk to the mirror of what I was going to say or what I thought I was going to say or whatever.
A lot of broken mirrors got smashed that way.
And I watch my facial expressions, because I know I'm a very expressive person with my face. And sometimes my facial expressions don't match the things that I am thinking, which is odd. But I know that about myself. And so when I'm in those kind of conversations, I have to be really, really cognizant of that. Because I know we've had conversations where my facial expressions are like not matching what I'm saying. And so if you can recognize those things about yourself and go in and to have a conversation with somebody, that can be hugely beneficial. Like, just talk.
Just talk.
They can be very hard, and they can be even more challenging when the person is not receptive. And that's when you have to go into those coaching sessions as to when you've tried to have that conversation with them and that person is not responding, not receptive, not respectful. Then that's when you go into the coaching part of it. The employer, I think, was wrong. Do you agree?
100% wrong.
Okay.
The employer needed to be the big person. Like I said, talk to them, figure it out, and then say, you know what?
Yeah.
You two just need to have a conversation.
And this is the sad thing.
And I will be here to help mediate just in case it goes off the rails.
And this is the other sad thing is this is personal stuff that's happening that is being drugged back into an employer's workplace. Your workplace is not, you're not going to work to have a social experiment. Do you have a lot of social experiences? Yes. But that is not what a workplace is for. A workplace is to come in and do a job. It is to do a task. If your task is to build relationships and bring in clients, that's your task. If your task is to sit at a computer and enter, that is your job. Don't bring your drama in from other places.
Yeah, too easy.
It is easy, but it's not easy. I want off of my HR box because I don't.
HR is shut. The door.
I'm done with HR for now. Anyway,
I turned the closed sign on.
Oh, thank you.
Or open.
Yeah.
Closed.
Thank you.
Closed.
Thanks.
Come back tomorrow. We open at 8. Go. I turned the person away.
Thank you.
So that's it.
That's it.
HR's closed. That is our consensus that we came up with, pretty much.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Do you agree with us?
Yeah.
Put your comments in the almost said the description box.
Yeah.
In the
have a conversation in the comment box about this issue.
Yeah, and let us know if you had that difficult conversation with somebody based upon what we just talked about, and were you able to fix it, or are you on the road to repair?
You might just give the conversation a chance because it might fix it.
It might fix it.
Yep. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't keep track of them all. From people dropping a bomb to people putting up walls, I feel like life is on hold, perception stuck in a vault.